My name's Kristen, and all of my flowers on my deck are currently dying, and I cannot bring them back to life.
My name's Nate, and we just planted some flowers on our patio, and they are flourishing.
Rude. Okay.
Okay, that was a bit off.
Yeah.
This is what happens. I've had this chair for 8 weeks. 8 weeks.
I'm squeaking. It's Kristen, and this weekend I ran 3 kilometers.
My name's Nate, and this week I went for a nice walk.
You can't just copy everything that I say.
I was gonna say I'm Nate and I ran 4 kilometers. But that would be really smudge of me.
Smudge?
It's smug, but
I thought you said smudge.
I said smudge. Office quote. And there's the
Smudge.
and there's the smudgeness.
It's an Office quote?
Yeah. Have you ever seen it?
I watched The Office. I don't remember that though.
Oh, okay. It's when Jim gets in trouble for his sales record because Kelly's trying to sabotage him, and he gets invited into Michael's office, and Michael's like, the report says that you are, I think he says rude and smudge, and then Jim's like, don't you mean smug? And Michael looks at him and thinks, and there's the smudginess. You could make a mashup of all the times we've said like words before we go into a video where we say something like, okay, and then you start, like, you actually take that part of it. All right, so, and then take all of those and we make a song out of it. And that'll be episode 45.
I have a confession though.
You delete them all.
I delete all of them. I have all of our completed videos on the Google Drive, but all the actual footage.
So does YouTube. I knew one of us would say something we'd regret at some point. Took 8 weeks.
And that's smudge.
That's the smudgeness. Time to go. So for the last 3 weeks, we've been looking at this idea of surrender and how we as followers of Christ are to live lives surrendered to Him, giving our lives over to Him as like a sacrifice, and then allowing Him to lead our lives and to empower us by His Spirit and to make us more like Him. And so we didn't have a video last week. We took a week off, and now we are back.
We're back.
What are we talking about now?
We're going to be starting a mini-series on idolatry or idols. Nate, what's an idol?
Well, there's mainly 2 types of idols. American Idol. Perfect. That's the first kind of idol. The second idol, immunity idol. You find this at tribal, and you find this at your camp, and then you bring it to tribal council, you play it, and then you're safe. If you watch Survivor still, you know what I mean.
Am I getting voted off the island?
If anyone should be voted off, it should be me.
You heard it here first, folks.
But what is it actually? What is an idol?
The way I like to think of an idol is the things that we make into gods. How do you like to think about idols?
Yeah, for me it's something that we begin to care about more than God Himself. So it's something that we spend more time worshiping and spending more money on and doing these things. So when we kind of remove God from like our focus in our lives and we put something else there.
Totally.
So this week's text, we're going to be reading from Exodus 20, from the 10 Commandments. These commandments have been given by God to the people of Israel to kind of set them apart from the rest of their context, from their world essentially. So we're going to be reading verses 1 to 6, and these are the first two commandments. Then God gave the people all these instructions. I am the Lord your God, who rescued you from the land of Egypt, the place of your slavery. You must not have any other God but me. You must not make for yourself an idol of any kind, or an image of anything in the heavens, or on the earth, or in the sea. You must not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God who will not tolerate your affection for any other gods. I lay the sins of the parents upon their children. The entire family is affected, even children in the third and fourth generations of those who reject me. But I lavish unfailing love for 1,000 generations on those who love me and obey my commands.
Something I think God has been asking of me recently, as I've been praying and spending time with Him, is to pay attention to the idols in my life. And there's a couple things in specific that I feel like He's been telling me I am loving and valuing more, and has pushed Him aside to the sidelines. And so what I love about this is it says that God is jealous for us. His love is so overwhelming for each one of us that He wants us to love Him wholeheartedly. He is a living God, and He cares so deeply for each one of us. Yet we turn to things of this world that are not living, that don't care for us, that aren't most of the time really good for us. Whether that's Netflix or friendships or sports, it could be almost anything that we start to put above God and value above God and seek and turn to. And we think they're going to fulfill us in a certain way, but it's really only God who can do that in our life. So I've been challenged recently to pay attention to what those are and to kind of put them aside and ask God for help in putting Him first again. Taking Him from the sideline, putting Him center, and realizing that He loves me and I can be fulfilled in Him. I don't need all these other things, these idols.
I'm noticing as we read through this is where the 10 Commandments sit in our Bible. For a lot of us, when we first begin to read this book, it's so confusing. We just have like chapters and chapters and books full of this law. These laws are so confusing. We're just like we're supposed to slaughter these animals, but only certain animals. You're supposed to like sprinkle blood, like the clothing. There's all these restrictions, and we're like,
what is this?
What is going on? Like, we live in North Van. We just don't do that.
Yeah.
But the law for them set them apart. The law was created and told again and again because it was to set Israel apart from the world around them. God's plan was to bless the world through Israel. Israel was to be a blessing. And for them to be a blessing, they had to be people who were obedient. And so we have these 10 Commandments because they actually lead to life. We often view laws as something that's like binding, it's restrictive. A lot of us, our generation, is really like skeptical of people telling us what to do.
Yeah.
It's just kind of how we roll. We don't like being told exactly what to do.
Yeah.
But these laws were to set them apart and actually lead to life. There's something life-giving about following these for Israel and being like, I'm gonna actually set apart, and for us, to like set apart these idols and put them away and be like, I actually want to just worship you alone, God. And that's something so beautiful because that actually leads to life. A lot of times the idols in our lives, we think will bring joy. We think if we if we online shop a little bit more, if we go for like one more run, if we like do, watch one more show, that there's gonna be some sort of fulfillment in that.
Totally.
But the reality is that fulfillment hasn't come.
Yeah.
And so when we like remove these idols, we put God back there, we're like drawn to Him, we're like in His presence, and that's where fulfillment comes from. And I think another important thing is that there's healthy things that we have put in our lives as idols that actually need to take a back seat, and we don't lose our passion for good things. Like, we can still enjoy exercise, we can enjoy like art and music and TV shows and whatnot, these things, but from a place of like I'm just simply enjoying that for a time. Like, God's gonna fulfill me, but I can still like they aren't taken away. If that makes sense.
Totally. Yeah, I like the idea that God isn't a policeman. Like, these laws aren't to restrict us. So when God says, don't have any other idols or gods before me, the verse says it's because He's jealous for us.
Yeah.
because he loves us. And like Nate said, we aren't to worship these lifeless idols. We aren't to worship, like you said, that extra run we want to go on because we want to look a certain way. That cake that we want to devour because we think it's going to make us feel comforted, or that other show we want to watch because we think that's where we'll find our rest. We're not to worship those things in our life, but those are sometimes good things for us to be able to do, to go exercise, to treat ourselves to something. But they don't take priority over God. He says, don't have other gods, don't have other idols. Like, I'm here asking you to be in relationship with me because I'm jealous for you. I love you.
Yeah. That's awesome.
He is jealous for me, love like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of his
Mercy. I was waiting to hop in there.
And
all of a sudden,
I'm unaware of these afflictions.
Eclipses.
Back, Lord.
Addictions. And afflictions and eclipses.
Oh.
It's good. Hey.
Okay, cool.
All right, so this week's question is, can you identify an idol in your own life? For myself, answering this right away, I can definitely notice a few things that I've moved in the place of God, where I've definitely spent more time, more money, more effort pursuing that. So pursuing. Can't talk. We take a week off and we've lost it. For me, it's probably like mountain biking. I love mountain biking, and I love just being in the mountain and just like being by myself and just riding. And I've definitely prioritized that over God quite a bit. Now that I live in North Van, it's a bit more of attention.
Totally. Yeah, and for me, a few of you know that there's a certain famous person that I really love. I don't really love the lyrics or the lifestyle that this person leads, but I think this person's really talented and funny. So I'll spend hours on YouTube looking up interviews and like watching those interviews and listening to some of the music and whatever, and I'm kind of just like consumed by this person, and I could spend hours watching this person in interviews, but I struggle to want to go and meet God and read the Bible. And so that's where I've been challenged is like my love for this person right now is more than my love to be in God's presence and to soak up his love and to be reading my Bible and growing closer to him. And when you identify these idols, it's not a feel guilty thing. It's a reminder that we have a God that wants to be with us. Because it's so easy for the enemy to twist how we feel and make us feel guilty, but that's not the character of God. Rather, take that and turn it into a motivator to spend time with God.
Awesome. God, we thank you so much for who you are, that you are a jealous God who wants us to draw near to you, that wants us to worship you and you alone, God. And so would you remind us, would you show us in our own hearts where there are idols, where there are things that we've replaced you with? And God, thank you that you are gentle and you do that with such kindness and love, and you do it because you want us to know you more. So we thank you for that.
Yeah, God, we come to you as a people who are forgetful. We are, all of us, broken, and we are all sinners. And we pray, Lord, that you help us know your love for us. Lord, that you help us know that you are a God who gives us life, that you provide for us, that you fill us up, that you make us whole again in your love. We're just so thankful, Lord, for you and how you have called called us to you, that you know us by name. Yeah, will you help us to turn from the idols in our lives, to be able to worship you, to love you, and serve you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I've been doing so many finger guns.
Game. Okay. Thanks for joining us for another week. We are excited for this series and we hope that it'll bless you. And we can't wait to be able to be back together. We've been talking today about how with this new phasing in period of time, we're feeling a little overwhelmed again, a little down, because we're so excited to see you guys in person again, but we know that we still have to wait a little while before that can happen. So we care a lot about you. We really hope that this is able to provide you guys with, I don't know, something life-giving, something that's able to lead you closer to Jesus. But
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what the summers are gonna look like.
Yeah.
And so we'll keep you guys updated, but for now, this will do.
This will have to do. And we trust that Jesus is with all of you, and even though we can't be physically there with you right now. But yeah.
So if you want to check out our Sunday services, ours will be on YouTube at the Bridge North Van. Click on the link and you'll find it all there.
Yep, and Hillsides is at 10:30 on Sunday morning, and if you go to our main webpage, there's a link to a live YouTube feed.
So good.
But if you can't watch it live, does yours record it?
Oh yeah.
You can always go back and watch them another time. You can find them on both the YouTube channels. Cool. Well,
Another week.
another week.
Good times. I did it.
Wow,
I
good job.